will not be joining us tonight. So we will fill them in on everything that's going on. Before we get started, we always begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Well, it's nice to see everybody. We will just get started with September's action items. So for September, Yvette and staff were to review the elevator interior and make selections of colors. Yvette.
Yes, we did.
Okay. Would you care to enlighten us?
That has been submitted. It is a very calming, neutral.
Wonderful. Unlike the color that apparently was in the plan, because they were trying to make sure that it drew your eye to it, so that you would change it for sure.
But
yeah.
we went with a lighter color on top and then a darker on the lower half and then a dark on the floor.
Wonderful.
So it's very neutral.
Great. Thank you. The trustees were to send you available dates to schedule a meeting with Scott Livernoise.
Yes, I haven't heard from Scott.
Okay.
Still working on that.
Okay. You were going to respond to Deb Hoadley.
Mm-hmm.
That's I will talk about that in strategic planning. So that's moving forward. Yvette will follow up with commissioning agent.
Still also waiting to hear back from him.
Okay. All right. That was it. Okay. Speaking of strategic plan, that is the next item. No, I'm sorry. SMP is the next item on our agenda under old business, and there's nothing to report. That's just a place saver for us, placeholder. So strategic plan, Yvette.
So the staff, the department heads met with Deb Hoadley and kind of had an informal conversation about what the process was going to be, what the timeline was going to be, what her expectations are for the process. And then we set some dates for community focus groups and for the retreat, the strategic planning retreat. She was giving us guidelines about, how many people, what kinds of populations would be in the focus group or in the community group, and gave us some suggestions for that. We brainstormed some names, and I have a spreadsheet with, who we came up with, what their contact information is, what population they might hit, and then she sent us a draft of some wording about, we're having a strategic plan and we're looking for a community input, and she sent us a sample that she had used with another library and the newsletter that they had put it in. So we were able to take that, modify it for Merrimack, put it in our newsletters, which has already gone out, and then modify it again and send that out in emails to the people we had brainstormed. So we're going to have a meeting. One of the community groups, the first meeting is going to be on November 1st. The second one is going to be on November 8th. These are both from 6 to 8 p.m. in the library. And then we're also going to have a staff meeting on the 8th. Deb is going to be in the library pretty much for the whole day, and the staff meeting or meetings hasn't been really scheduled yet, but we've just earmarked that day as a day for her to be in the library, and maybe she meets with smaller groups of staff during the course of the day. And then the second community group will be meeting. It's the same people, but they'll be meeting a second time at night. And then the retreat is December.
I think it's the 12th, if I'm reading that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's like 3 hours, I believe.
And she did say she wanted to meet with the trustees
Yes,
and she was wondering if that was a separate meeting. And she had mentioned perhaps doing it as part of our November meeting, which she said she'd need about 2 hours.
Yeah, department heads, we met with her for 2 hours. So it is a very good use of 2 hours. It doesn't feel like there's, a waste of time or extra time, it's a good use of 2 hours. So I
Mm-hmm.
would recommend the two, sure.
So I guess that's something for the trustees to consider if we would want her to come as part of our regular meeting or if we wanted to do that separately. So we don't need to decide right now. We can think about it.
21st is our next meeting.
No, it's November 16th.
Yeah, another thing that she has, but you might want to make the meeting sooner than that
Mm-hmm.
because, and I didn't bring the notes, I don't know that I brought the notes for the strategic plan to this meeting, but she is recommending that we put out a survey, and the target date for the survey is the week of the 13th of November. So if the trustees want to, of course, have input in what kinds of questions do you want to ask the community, then it would need to be before then.
Well, I'd be happy to reach out to Deb and see what she has available for dates between now and then and see if there's something that would work for people. So I can, rather than, survey us and see, and then it doesn't even work for her,
Mhm.
I can reach out to her, ask her if there's something in the next couple of weeks
Mhm.
that, would work, whether it's via Zoom or whatever, and then reach out to everybody and see if we can get enough people to make that work. I'd be happy to do that. So I hesitate to have her come on the 16th only because I know at some point we're going to be doing a lot of budget stuff also, and we might need that time to do budget things. So, which is also a very good and important use of our time. So if that's okay with everybody, I'll just reach out to her and then let you know. So, okay, great. Is there anything else from the strategic plan?
No, but we've gotten some feedback from people and some positive responses that yes, they want to be involved.
Oh, great.
Yeah, really exciting.
Yeah.
So Robbie, and this would also go for Ruth Marie, if you have ideas or don't have ideas, then I can share the list of people so that we're not duplicating our efforts, or you can, I can just share the list with you. Okay.
Great. Thank you. That sounds really like positive and moving forward and
Really
going in a
exciting.
good direction.
We're really happy.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Great. Does anybody have any questions for Yvette before we move on? Okay. Building maintenance project list. I have it right here. Let's see. Any questions for Yvette? The sloped carpet. It's not. I know you mentioned it in your report
Mhm.
also, but they're going to come and take care of that.
Yes.
Atkinson.
Yes.
So that's nice.
So if you remember their tile, the tile is higher because they took the carpet out and there was cement. So it was like this. And they graded it from the tile to the cement, but not enough. And the slope has made a couple of people trip. Surprisingly, I haven't tripped yet, but okay, so 3 people have tripped, but it's enough to really have been noticeable that we really need to get it addressed. So they're going to take up the carpet in that entire area and then grade it kind of longer so it's less of a slope. They can't build up everything because that would be impossible. And then when we had put the carpet in, we had discussed removing the tile, which was also a huge job and very expensive. So this was the compromise. So they're just gonna, take it up, regrade everything. It's gonna take a day, and we've been talking. About staff will probably work elsewhere in the building because of the fumes. And we're gonna play it by ear a little bit, but they probably won't be at those desks. But not appropriate for the public to be in the building because they could not get in the building because it's right at the entrance. So best to just close.
If they're regrading, will there be particles and dust and things
They'll take care of that. Yeah, yeah. It's not going to be as extensive as the removal because the particles were from our old carpet.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a question. I know we talked about meeting with Scott about the roof, but when we do move forward with the roof, we still are going to do an RFP.
Yeah.
So this is more just an informational meeting with him? Okay, we don't have to. But.
Yeah, we don't have to, but Paul recommended us doing it because they have people and
Yeah,
it gets to.
I mean, I think that makes sense, but, so we were meeting with, we'll be meeting with him about the roof for informational purposes also, to get an idea of what he would be doing,
Mhm.
before we put it out to bid. Just making sure, because I think it's good that we, do our due diligence and it's put out the RFP of what we're looking for and see what else we find out.
I think that's a good question for Scott when we do end up getting, talking with him, because he's, in the past, when he's worked on our roof, he's acted as the project manager. So he's found the vendors. So I'm not sure how an RFP fits into that, but
Okay.
we'll make it,
We can
we'll
talk
find
with
out.
him about
Yeah.
that, yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
Is there any reason, are we not doing the RFP yet because we want to hear what Scott has to do, say, with respect to the quote? Like, what's,
I think there was an engineer drawing. Didn't we talk about the
Well,
last?
right.
That was Scott, what Scott had put in an email, so.
right, and we want a
Yeah.
clarification about that? Okay, all right, I remember that.
Scott was the vendor who worked on the roof when we repaired the flat roof. So he's the person in the industry who works on flat roofs. So and he had at the time talked to me about the slate roof, that it needed repair, and that was put off. So now when we need the slate repair done, then it's, let's bring him back.
Yeah. Seems to make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does too. I just want to make sure that we are doing our due diligence and, doing what we need to do. And I know, understand what Paul's saying, that we don't have to, but if that's what the town does, and I think it's a good policy, and then we are, if someone does say, why didn't you ask, around, at least we put it out, we put the specs out, it's all very public, and we've asked for some input, and if Scott is the only one, and maybe we have to do it differently because it is more of a project manager type thing. Or I don't know,
Yeah.
I guess those are questions. If he's done other projects, I'm sure this wouldn't be new to him. So we have to work with him and then
Mhm.
Okay, well, hopefully
So
we'll get.
Do we start with talking to Paul, or who do we usually work with to do an RFP? Is it
Finance.
finance? Okay.
Yeah, that's really, Kelly in finance is the person I would send information from a vendor, because, I'm not an engineer, and
Right.
say, this is the project that we're looking at. And they, vendors will usually say, okay, here's a proposal, we're gonna do this, 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 and it's a list. And then she would just take that list and create the RFP around it.
Can we see if there's a way to include the insulation in that, since there may be openings to get insulation into that ceiling?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the questions for Scott, because I think if Scott is the project manager, then it would be, what do you recommend goes into this RFP? And if he's the one who's sending the RFP, fine, but it's, this is really what is the scope of the project that
Yeah.
this board wants, versus when we last talked about this with a whole nother board, so, or last talked to him about it, it was a while ago now, and needs have changed.
Yeah, I know that's hard to just be behind this one, but we really, got money, we want to get this done.
Mhm,
I feel like there's a sense of urgency about moving forward with these projects, so they don't just keep getting pushed to the back.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to reach out to him or talk to Kelly and see, like, whatever you think is the next appropriate step as far as starting this process.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I guess that kind of goes with the same thing with the commissioning agent. I know we got the name from Iris back in June. Do we have to go with that person, or is there another commissioning agent that Iris can recommend?
I can ask her, but the last communication I had with Paul, commissioning agent, was, I will
is
get
he?
you a proposal.
Ah,
So then it
okay.
was like, hi, still waiting for this proposal.
got
So,
it. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so we are in a holding pattern, but let's stay on top of it and hopefully
I can be very annoying.
Yeah.
Be that
yes.
squeaky wheel.
Are there any other questions or comments on the?
I just wanted to say, I noticed it says significant improvements made in the mechanical room
Mhm.
organizing, so that's awesome to, to see. So,
Yes, if you ever want to come down and see, you can come
I've
see.
been in there.
I'll give you a tour.
And can you just, just for everybody's information, the elevator, remind us of the dates that it's going to be started.
Yes, and
I made sure everybody else was on. But I even went like this to make sure. Can you remind us of the dates for that?
yeah,
Oh, it's, what are you going to do?
um, the elevator project, and I am rifling through my papers looking for my most updated timeline that I talked to the department heads about today, which I may have left in the printer. But so the start date is November 15th. It's a Wednesday. I talked to the department heads, and the crew would be able to start at 6 a.m., but that is really hard for any of us to get to the library and be ready to open for a work crew at 6. So we're going to start at 7. And each of the department heads have a day that we're assigned where that's my day for the next number of weeks.
Nice.
We'll be in to open it. So we're trading that
Great.
baby. And then, we're estimating 5 weeks because of the holidays. We're going to put the carpet project. We put the carpet project in after the elevator has started, so that we could. When Leah came with her foreman to the building, and we were, looking at the elevator again and the mechanical room again and all the spaces again, and he was talking to us about blocking out work areas, and talking to the staff about the sound, what is the scent, what's the work environment going to be like. They had said the most disruptive times will be the first week and the last week, and that's because they have to remove the cab parts, or not the cab, I'm sorry, they have to remove the big mechanical tower in the elevator room, which is as tall as a door. It's probably taller than a door. Actually, it's floor to ceiling. And they have to take that out and put it in the clump room and bring the new one in to install the new one. But the elevator has to be off during the project. And then once the elevator is finished and turned back on, then they can take the big old mechanical thing and take it up the elevator to get it out of the building, because there's no way to get upstairs except for stairs. So that's the disruptive part. So we're proposing being closed that first week, and having the staff do in-house projects about the collection that are really better to do if no one is in the building. Patrons aren't in the building. We can shift, we can do inventory. There's a lot of things that we've been waiting to do. So that's that. And then the carpet is also a closed building time. So it could be closed for 2 projects. One is the elevator and one is the carpet. So it's Wednesday the 15th, 16, 17, Thursday, Friday, closed to the public. Saturday we would be open. We're going to have double staff to manage the flow of patrons. And then Monday closed, Tuesday is the carpet, Wednesday we're open, and it's the day before Thanksgiving. That's half day. And then we would proceed as normal. Hopefully that disruptive piece only takes that first 5 days.
Okay. So are you anticipating that would be the only time the library is closed during this project?
Unless we find out that we have to close a little bit for the last week.
Mhm.
when they move. Because that's what they said. So we know this one's going to be disruptive, and we have other projects that
Mhm.
are best done when no one's in, patrons aren't in the building.
Will there be an option for people to pick up their books like we did during when the library was closed during COVID?
Probably
or-
not,
Okay.
because we won't have the elevator
Uh-huh.
to move books up and down. That's the hard part.
Okay.
I can go back and talk to Alyssa, but she was like, well, we can do inventory, and we haven't done inventory since we were closed for COVID. So,
And then there's also painting things on here that could
Oh,
get
yeah.
done too. Stained ceiling tiles
Yeah.
could be replaced. Like it sounds
Yeah.
like there's some like internal projects that
Oh,
could
yeah.
be done during that
and there's
time.
still staff training with Merrimack Police that I would schedule into that time, because that also, it shouldn't happen. It's active shooter training, so it shouldn't happen when
Mm-hmm.
patrons are in the building. It's too disruptive too.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna try and cram a lot of that stuff in these days.
Okay. Great. And just lots of publicity, obviously, let people
Yeah.
know. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Does anybody have any concerns or questions for Yvette about this proposed plan?
Okay, and then one of those days, the 15th, is the strategic planning meeting with the community, but will be closed, so we can just let people in at 6 o'clock when that meeting is going to
Mhm.
start at 5:30 or whenever, and just be at the door.
Mm-hmm.
We can still accept deliveries from other libraries, have those go out. The carpet day, it's the state, and they'd have to go through the staff door.
Mm-hmm.
But other days, we can just do that and process that. So
Okay.
we're working out details. That's kind of the big picture of it, and trying to work out details, because that's what they were telling me today is
Mm-hmm.
we can really get to these things. And that was what I had proposed to them of, are there things you could do if we had to close, if this
Mhm.
was so disruptive to patrons? Then
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as long as it's, we're closed for the minimal amount of time that we have to be, that's perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Molly, do you have a question?
No, I was just gonna say it's a big project and it's good to get to this point. I know I haven't been working on it as long as a lot of you, but it's pretty incredible.
Great. See you on that Saturday. It's going to be really fun at the library that day,
Well,
isn't it?
it's going to be, department heads coming in, because the part-time staff would have used their time already.
Yeah, so you
So,
guys will
you know.
be.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other building maintenance project information? Okay, great. The energy audit, I think we're kind of good with that. It's part of the roof plan. So, all right, moving on to the 2023-24 budget, general ledger, invoice manifest, and open POs. I think there are some questions on this one. So I noticed that things that, and I noticed but wasn't sure if I was accurate, so I did check with Janet, that there are certain things that are showing up on the general ledger that were not there before, such as fines, book sales, copies, private grants, other revenue.
That's 38, which
That's all about 38 lines.
Yes. Yeah.
I've
Which,
been printing it out with 38.
okay.
But if
So-
you want,
No, I didn't know if that was you then. Those are the lines that okay. So those are the things that, some of which we are not sure what falls under, things that need to be reported to the town and what doesn't. So we're going to be talking about that further. So, okay. All right. That was my one question. And then,
Okay, I have some. There are negative encumbrances. And that makes no sense at all to me.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay, because then it also shows, because we have a negative encumbrance, our budget balance is too much and our encumbrance balance is not accurate either.
Yep.
yeah, why is there a 60,000 negative encumbrance?
mm-hmm,
I don't know.
mm-hmm, yep.
So is that yes, I see that, and you're going to find out for us why that is? Because, yep.
Yes, I can, Joanne has been sending other questions to finance.
Yeah.
So I don't know that
The-
I haven't brought this to her attention, but I will bring it to her attention, so that we can ask. But the purchase orders. And there was there were some things with the purchase orders and one of them was closed that should not have been closed.
Mm-hmm.
So we're waiting to hear about that.
Oh, I actually saw an email from Joanne about that before this meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw it too.
Okay.
She makes a comment about it. I just didn't read it. I saw it right when I got here.
Okay, because she sent me
Yeah.
additional
She wasn't sure if you.
information.
Okay. Do you want to share that with us? It might be the same thing we got in our email.
The town did not bring over 2223-1654 for business card 977 and 33 cents for video games. Tom had said he would keep it open, and that was an email exchange that Joanne had with him in May. And then she wrote to Adam about it, and Adam said that Tom closed it in mid-July and moved the funds to the large Denron PO, so the HVAC project PO. But Stephanie, it was earmarked for video games and game systems, and Stephanie has already spent half that. So Joanne's question is, do you want to open a new PO and reduce the Denron by the 977 because it was moved to this other line?
So stupid.
I mean, I think it's cleaner accounting if that money stays separate. The 977, it goes back to a PO, but it's not the original PO. It's just, for us to track it, okay, this was money that was already reserved for video games and gaming systems that we circulate. And, the staff buys games when they come out, same as you buy books when they come out. So,
So would we move that money back and have them reopen or open a new PO?
yes, because
replace the same
yes,
thing.
so it was moved.
Yeah,
Okay.
with no explanation. Okay.
So just to have it just to
They
correct.
closed it and moved that balance of the 977 into the same PO as that Denron,
Right.
which they also combined with the other money that was already sitting there.
So as I'm looking at this, and I don't want to miss your point, and maybe people who are more familiar with budget stuff can explain this to me. So in 8502, there's buildings, and that's 87.5, which is this PO that
Yep.
we were looking at, right?
Yep.
But then the $60,000 under encumbrance is in parentheses. So, but
Wrong.
it's wrong, and it says but then the budget balance says 147.5, which would mean that it's an addition. Wait,
Exactly.
so what is that 60?
That's it. It's nothing. It's wrong.
Well, it should correspond to a PO.
But the
But
87.5
the 87.5 corresponds
is
to
to
this
the PO, not the 60.
as well
So-
as it shouldn't be negative.
So what should our building line normally be?
87.5.
Well, 87.5 is the PO.
That's
nothing-
that.
And there's
in
nothing else?
encumbrance.
And there was
That-
nothing else?
No, because actually, you know what? I can tell you. 'Cause I happen to have it in. Oh, I have it over here.
Because I'm just confused at what they're doing.
Because it's
So-
showing at 168%
We
of the
had.
budget.
Oh, do I have another one?
So the 87.5 should be like what's encumbered.
Yeah, and that is on the
Yeah, but
PO.
on the general ledger, it's
don't know.
not. Yeah.
We had. Building. We had like 16,000. Do I still have it?
So that should be what is in that PO line plus our 87.5.
No, we had whatever it was prior to as of June 2023. It was around 16.
What I'm saying is what should be in that budget? Is that budget line normally 0 for our?
Yes, There's
Okay, so
no-
that's
there's
so that's
nothing.
zero
There's
normally.
normally zero.
Okay.
And that 87 is what was carried over from last
Yep.
year and what was encumbered from
Okay.
this year.
And so that 60,000, nobody knows what that means or why that's there.
That was-
Okay.
yes.
But if it's in parentheses, but then it's added
That means
in.
it's, yeah.
That's a negative number.
Right, so that's why I'm confused.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I
so
have-
so it's not just my lack of budgetary expertise.
No,
It
'cause the-
doesn't make
I
any
have
sense.
The one
Okay.
that's to June 30th, and that encumbrance line 87,500.
Yes, so that's inaccurate. And then they also have something under maintenance, building and grounds. That's the same situation where it's 26,480 is the balance. And then it has an encumbrance also in parentheses and then says that our budget balance is not what it should be.
Which number are you on? Oh, the
Uh,
building and grounds?
Building, maintenance, building and
mhm.
grounds.
Yeah.
So that one
Yeah,
also.
there's three. All the ones that have the parentheses showing
Mhm.
negative encumbrance.
Mm.
Don't make sense.
Yeah, so that one
So
on
my
the-
concern, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jen.
Sorry, I was going to say that was 3,500. I don't know if that's what it should be now.
Right. So what was in our budget for that maintenance and grounds, the budget had 23,526, and then we encumbered 3,500. So what it shows under GL budget is correct, but that negative 2,546, it
I'm concerned
makes sense.
that if we just say to Joanne, can you find out what's going on with those without any background knowledge, like without us explaining exactly what it should look like, that it might muddy the waters and things could get moved in a way that will make things more confusing. So I'm wondering if Janet, you would be willing to look at the budget things and to say, this is what it should look like in this line and ask, and then say, and this is what it looks like.
Okay.
Can you explain to us, because that way they understand where we're coming from, because I would hate to see them say, oh, you're right, you shouldn't have that 60. And then we end up with 27,
27, yeah.
5 in there because they move things around. So would you mind working with me on like a narrative and like a spreadsheet we could send to finance, and we'll CC Joanne so that we are explaining why those things are concerned and what those budget balances should be. I think especially with a new employee in there, it would be good to have that.
Yeah, the GL budget is right. So that first column is right.
Right.
And it's just the
But-
encumbrance and then the budget balance and then of course the percent.
Right. Because it would be fantastic if we had $147,500 there. So if we're in error, and we should, by goodness, please let us know. But I have a feeling that's not what happened. So it would be good to know.
That's when it's like spend right now.
Yeah.
'Cause that's what
That would come back and haunt us. We will not spend until we get clarity. So, okay. Is that okay with everybody if we do that and just to clarify what it should be and what it looks like? So, okay.
Is the town? when you
Yes.
Say finance.
Yeah.
So Joanne's library, finance is town.
And there's a new finance director.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm wondering if
Joanne
something in the
tracks
transition-
she prepares the invoices for me to sign, and she tracks the POs and
Thank you. Yeah.
prepares that sheet for you and the invoice sheet for you. So
So back to your original question about the PO. Sorry to get us off track. You would like us to, or you would recommend for accounting purposes that we actually move that money out.
I would recommend that for accounting purposes, and then it would be like it was never touched.
Okay.
I disagree.
Okay.
I would rather just pay for it, pay the $418 that she'd had, and just leave it. Just leave the PO. Let's just pay it, because that PO is from 2 years ago, a year ago, and it's been sitting there. Actually, it's been closed and reopened. We've had that. I mean, I know it says 22-23, but we've had that game console on there more than 22-23. It's just a carryover that got a new number. So
And what about the remainder? Right, there was,
yeah, there'll be like
More than
$400.
this one. yeah,
I just know that this particular PO has sat there, not actually this PO, but this money has been there for a couple years. But I know it got closed and reopened, because we waited, because it was there for when Max was there. And because we were waiting for him to buy some PlayStations and stuff, and it still sat there. So this has been there at least since he was there.
And Stephanie has more purchasing to do in that area?
Oh, there's always purchasing to do
But
in that
it
area.
doesn't have to come from a PO, right? That
No,
could come from
it's just-
materials and,
It's just money that's already been earmarked for it that's
Right.
outside of this budget. And you know, if we are purchasing something that is over $500, then we need to create a PO to pay for something that's $500. The balance is less than $500, so she would just be spending down, you know, a number
right.
and not buying anything that's beyond 500.
Janet, would your recommendation be that we pay for it or that it's
Yeah.
taken out of the budget?
Just-
Okay.
We pay.
Okay. I mean, if that's the simplest and easiest way, rather than having the town do that with this line item that we
Okay.
already have questions about, that might
Okay.
just be for the best. So,
Just leave it alone.
yeah.
So then we just pay out of trustee funds?
Yeah.
Okay, would you like to make a motion to that effect?
Sure, I'll even pull up this. I recommend that we pay the $418-ish, because it has an approximation, out of passport money to purchase the new games that were bought.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Okay. 500. Done. Okay. That's probably easier too, because it's not just going to
Yeah.
confuse them when we're already
This
saying
has
there's all
happened
this
before. I
problems
know.
with this thing that we want to clarify. So, okay. Are there any other things we usually have nothing for the general ledger invoice, occasionally open POs. So that was quite a bit for us on that. Are there any other questions or anything for you? Okay.
Can somebody tell me what the exact amount was?
It just says it says approximately 418.
Okay,
So approximately 418.
that's
okay.
fine. Thank you.
You could do
Okay.
up to 500. I mean,
Well, you never know too when you're ordering things. That's one of the tricky things with something like in the library, that you could put in an order for a bunch of materials and then things go out of stock or they stop publishing them, and then the amount can fluctuate in both directions. So it can be kind of tricky to get an exact amount for a lot of things like that. Okay, moving on to policy review. So let's look at the unattended children policy first. It looks like the only change is taking out or other responsible individual over the age of 15, that it needs to be a parent who is remaining in the library. Okay. That seems like a reasonable change.
it's more for my FYI. You made in here, it says they follow the rules and regulation policies, and parents are responsible for them, but following the rules and regulations. If the police are called based off of the rules and regulations, what happens to that family or child, or like what's the repercussions? Is there repercussion?
I think the only time in my experience when we've had to call the police is if a child has been like left after hours. And then we can't drive someone home.
Right.
So that's the only actual experience that I've encountered. I don't know.
I guess I was just wondering, like, if they're being disruly or like their behavior causes them to have to be removed by the police, what's the ramifications?
Oh, I mean, it might depend on the behavior, because it hasn't escalated to that
Okay.
in my experience. It's, we're done for today.
Got it.
Go home. Come back a different day. And that could be for anyone,
Absolutely.
And so it takes several times to escalate, because sometimes when they come back, they have a better day. I think if we were seeing a chronic, a child being unattended, that is more like, that's an issue with child protective
Sure.
services, and that would be, okay, police, here's the situation, and it really, once someone leaves the building under police care, it's out of our hands and it becomes something else. We've had other situations, when the police have come and staff step back. So we don't usually find out what
sure.
happens, and they take over and they know what to do. So doesn't happen that often.
Okay.
So that's hard. It's hard to speak to because it really doesn't. I know. But yeah, it doesn't happen that often.
Okay.
But
Well, that's good.
yeah, I mean, in times when we've, banned someone from the library, that comes to the board, and then they, someone can always request, appeal that decision that the board has made, and but again, that hasn't happened in a number of years. The police weren't involved in that one.
Okay.
Can I ask a
Yeah.
question too?
Yeah.
So with the change in the word to parent versus responsible adult, does this include folks who might be parental figures who are not technically parents, like grandparents, the kids live with or whatnot?
There's an asterisk at the bottom
Okay,
that describes
Alright.
that.
I missed that piece. Thank you.
Okay. Do you, I don't have it in front of me. Do you
Yeah,
want
it
to read
says,
that? too?
as used in this policy, the term parent may include legal guardians, responsible individuals over the age of 15, or other persons having custody or control of a minor. So, sorry, I should have specified that when I said that she got rid of this.
I read it, but I
So-
missed the asterisk.
Yes.
Good.
Great. Thanks for clarifying that.
So I'll make a motion
Sure.
to accept the updated unattended children policy.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Thank you. 500. Okay, great. And then you brought the photography, filming, and videography policy to us.
Yes, I recommend that we take that policy out. Not quite sure what the word is for it. Delete it. I think it's in conflict with, information that we have now surrounding First Amendment auditors when they come in the building. More of the discussion that I'm having with other directors in the state library, even NHMA. People have the right to film in a public space and film the public space. So that would go against what our policy states. And I think to have someone make a request for permission from the director would just put staff in a situation that would be more harmful than anything, especially because someone can film in a public space. In the library, we have labeled staff areas only, so they, someone wouldn't be able to just come in and film in a staff area because it's restricted.
So what about the person who's, I'm just in the library, I don't want someone filming me. What are my rights in that situation? Is that just something that is a person moving in a public space I have to
Yeah.
deal with?
Yeah,
Yep.
you do. I think, in terms of children, the First Amendment auditors and even the ones that have come to our library are avoiding the children's room, so they don't film children. But if a parent wanted to make sure their child wasn't filmed, then we have those forms available for the parent. But
isn't that just for us?
Hmm.
That they wouldn't film, that we wouldn't film?
we haven't had that situation come up.
Okay.
But and it even hasn't happened in a long time for programs. I mean, we have been closed for COVID, so a lot of things haven't happened just because of the unusual situations of having the building closed and having programs virtual. But yeah, I think the presumption is if you are in a public space, you will probably be filmed if we are taking pictures. And when we take pictures of our events, we try to have backs, of minors.
Now, what if somebody was just following somebody around, right? Following a patron around and just videotaping
Yep.
them.
then a patron
Does that-
can speak up and say, please don't do that.
Yeah. So it's on the individual
Yes.
at that point.
Yes. And we've, there's only a certain amount of things that we can do as staff. You know, we've had situations where someone has come to the staff and said, this group over here having a meeting or having a conversation at the table, I heard they were using a slur and it offends me. Can you go talk to them? You can go talk to them. You know, it's really, it has to be the patron who comes to talk to them. So it's along those lines. There are some instances in the First Amendment videos when the staff have stepped in on behalf of a patron and it just blows up. So it's best if a patron can say, please don't film me. And even there are some where the auditor continues to film that person. And it's not like they're following them necessarily, but it's like, I see you're working at a table and just, you know, just goes up to the table and starts to. It's not a great situation.
Right.
But you know, it's much more challenging to ask the staff to put themselves in a potentially unsafe situation than for a patron to either get up and leave or speak up for themselves. Unless you have better ideas. I mean, we're kind of trying to figure it out
I
as we
know,
go.
I'm just envisioning somebody kind of being followed around by somebody and then, you know, they go to staff for help, but
Sure,
then
I
the
mean,
I feel
in
bad for them
yeah.
having the staff have to say, you handle it yourself, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we've had situations more pre-COVID where, you know, if we're seeing that a patron is not holding to the patron code of conduct, and then it's, you know, if it's clear, then we can say you're not holding to this code of conduct. Stop doing that. You know, it's hard to interpret sometimes.
Right.
You know,
All right.
but if you, I mean, you know, if you have experience in other parts of your life,
I have a hard time with both sides. Like, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I understand where you're coming from, and I don't want to put the staff in a position like that, but I also love the idea of a library being a place people can privately go in and get their books and do their thing, and the thought that, I don't know.
well, you
Yeah.
can't privately do anything. That's
Well,
the point.
I guess
But we have, you know,
not
we have
privately, but like
screens
without
on the
being
computer,
harassed,
so
right?
someone can't see what you're working on.
Yeah.
You
I understand
know?
what you mean. And I know that you everywhere in the world people have their cameras out and are videotaping everything all the time. But
Not usually, but you know, on a typical day, patrons come to the library and they're not disturbed at all by anybody. You know, I think this is a very unique time and situation where someone has decided they are going to do a First Amendment audit and video a public space, and the workers, they're really more interested in harassing the staff and filming the staff, and not so much the patrons. You know, so can a staff person say, don't film me? No, they can't. Because I can be filmed at work. So that's why we put computer, you know, we have these screens on the staff computers on the floor, so that if they have a patron record up, they probably do, because they're checking things in and out, and we are trying to protect someone's reading history, and that is protected under privacy law in New Hampshire. Then they can't get a shot of the screen, but you also can't come in behind the desk. So we've got a double protection of, you know, you would not be able to see the screen anyway, but there's still a protector on it, and you would also not be able to come behind the desk, but you could stand across from me and harass me and film me. That's if you've not seen the videos, you can watch the videos, and
read a
they're
little last night on the subject after looking through.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
yeah, it's very it's harassment.
it's a real.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have watched the videos, and my interpretation of the law is the same as yours, that you can't prevent folks from filming in those spaces.
No, but that's the information we're getting from NHMA,
No.
from the attorneys at
Yeah, so but my interpretation is the same.
Yeah.
I think the policy is also a little bit difficult, like just in terms of how you would operate with this policy in any sort of real time, or what situation is presenting, and how would I, like, as an employee, apply this to what I was seeing. So just in terms of practicalness of the words on the page, I don't know that also given with this, public space and the right to film, my thought is I don't think the policy is necessary.
Well, this policy we put together because I was at a Hillstown meeting, and that was the recommendation at the time before
Yeah.
things really escalated.
Yeah.
And it was, well, create a policy that says
This,
you
this, and
cannot
this.
film, and if you're going to film, you better get permission from the
Yeah.
director.
Yeah.
So we had it, and we
Yeah.
all the libraries
yeah, I'm
in
sure.
Hillstown,
Yeah.
we all have it, and now it's like probably shouldn't have it.
Never mind that.
Yeah, no, we were talking about this at GMILK's Urbans. I mean, there's a lot of overlap in the library meetings that I go to in terms of who are the member libraries, and we're all kind of looking at that policy again and saying, no, people have the right to film in a public space, and no one should consider that they have privacy in a public space, and that's a patron sitting reading a book or the newspaper. There's no privacy.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Right.
That's
Right.
unfortunate. Like,
Right.
I think, I think we all would love to be able to, I understand it doesn't happen, but I think people would like to be able to sit and do their thing,
Yeah.
and not have
Yeah,
anybody.
and-
Yeah.
On a typical day, people come to the library, they work, I mean, spreading out on a table and
Yeah.
are not bothered at
Mhm.
all. So,
And it looks like this policy has just been around for 2 years. It's not like it was something that was etched in stone before that. So
no, it was new.
Yeah.
And, doesn't work.
then I will make a motion that we no longer have make sure I get the wording correct since we're removing it. Photography, filming, and videography policy.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, 500. Thank you, Yvette.
Thanks.
Okay. Were those the only two policies? I said, okay.
Yeah.
Holiday calendar, the holiday schedule, the 2024 draft. Anything of importance, or is this pretty much the same thing as last year?
There's a cycle because of how days of the week fall. So
Mhm.
if we go back to whenever all the calendar lined up in the same way, it's pretty much the same.
Okay. All right.
That's great.
I'll make a motion that we accept the holiday schedule for 2024.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions for Yvette? Okay, great. All those in favor? 500. Fantastic. Thank you, Yvette.
Thanks.
Okay. Let's see. Scheduling annual appointment with the town council. So we go before the town council to just kind of tell them what's going on with the library. And it looks like there were a few dates available. It's usually Yvette and I who go, and
And the rest of us
Sometimes-
sit in the audience and support the library.
yeah, so the dates, I saw that you had them on here. And they're usually Thursdays, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't sure about November 2nd, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have no preference. So, unless if you have a preference, whatever works for you.
I think if we want to have time to prepare, 16th
Okay,
and put it out.
okay, that's fine. And hopefully we'll be able to report the elevator project has begun, and we're also doing this, and we can also use an opportunity to inform people of why the library will be closed, so it can serve many purposes.
Okay.
So we can see if November 16th is available to them. Okay, and anybody who would like to show up is more than welcome to attend. It's, we're usually on for about 10 minutes. We're usually last on the agenda. No. are closed to last. So, all right, which is fine. That's fine. All
Is
right.
that an evening?
Yeah, it's
as
an evening.
well?
It's their regular town council meeting. And so we
Okay.
just go and we usually, just talk about, Yvette has kind of a script or an outline that we've used in the past, and we just fill in the new information and share things. And, it's good.
Yeah.
And then because we go before them again, January with the budget. So this is kind of here's how things have been going in the library for the year. And then we go back in like 6-8 weeks and say, oh, we're back again. And here's what's going on for the budget sort of thing. So
Okay.
we do need to get the budget into them before then, though. And if I remember correctly, it's usually the end of November. So where are we at with
We don't
budget?
have it.
Okay.
I met with the department heads today, knowing that it's the time when we might start working on it. So I encourage them to go look at their budgets for materials and programming and different supplies and see
Oh.
where they are.
We can't meet on the 16th because that's our normal meeting.
I think that's the wrong date. That's a Thursday.
Okay, so we
So it
would,
would be the 21st is our meeting.
16 is a Thursday in November, and 21 is our meeting.
okay, on the upcoming events, it has our monthly business meeting as November 16th.
Oh, I'm
So our monthly
sorry.
business meeting will be November 21st.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty. Okay, so the 16th it is.
So do we want to schedule a separate budget meeting now? So we have it on our schedules?
We can start. I mean, if you want to.
Let's do this. Let's find out from Deb Hoadley what day is going to work for her because we want to do that. And then I think last year we met once and then we finished it up at the trustee meeting, if I remember. We did not have a lot of meetings. For the budget. Most of the stuff is pretty much set. The stuff for us is really going to be salaries again. We do need to talk about that as a board to develop some sort of schedule for the salaries, which we have not done. So, once again, we're sort of here like, okay, what are we doing this year? But we really do want to have a plan in place. So that would be one of our goals to work on this year. So I guess, I think we met in November once last year, if I remember correctly. Does that sound right to you, Janet?
I see once, and then I was looking for it again, and I don't. see
No,
it.
I think we met one time and we just made our decisions
think-
because a
you know
lot
what?
of the stuff is we really know where we're at. So, we're not starting a budget from scratch and there's only so much movement.
Oh, I think we did a little bit in our main meeting,
Mm-hmm.
our monthly meeting, but
Yeah. So if you could just find out maybe the deadline, is it the end of November? Is it before Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving?
For the budget?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's finance usually sends every department our old budget with some of the things that they know are expenditures for this year, an updated electricity or,
Mm-hmm.
those kind of totals. And then we'll say, I want this back by. So we don't have it yet. And so I don't have a deadline.
Yeah.
But I told my staff, start thinking about it because
Yeah.
we're going to
No,
need to,
absolutely.
we don't know when we're going to get it. So we need to hit the ground running,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Do we know, is this a health insurance year or are we?
It's always a health insurance
Oh.
year. I mean, I have the, we always get the gross maximum rate as, what it could be. And I
Right.
did receive that from Health Trust this week. So that would be plugged into the budget and we would budget for what the highest rate would be. And then the Health Trust Board doesn't meet until March to vote on what it is. So then we would have the actual number in March.
I hesitate to just be like, let's book a meeting when we don't even know when you're going to get it from them. So,
I mean,
yeah, but that doesn't, I mean, the only things that the town does that are the things that we can't control.
I know, but there is but you also, when we do our budget, we look at all those increases also and what's going to be with the bottom line.
Yeah, but
It's up
whichever
to,
way.
I mean,
I look at it as they know what they want or wish list in terms of like materials, programs, all that stuff, and just fill it in. And then in the
Well,
end,
when do you think your department heads would have that information so that we could look at it?
Well, we're going to meet next week because we
Mhm.
meet every Tuesday. I think one of the things that would be really helpful for the board to do is to start talking about the personnel lines, and what your thoughts are on that. Um, we might have some staff changes also that would be helpful to get some board input about,
Mhm.
you know. So, um, working on the personnel stuff sooner than later.
All right. Um, well, it's October 17th, so I guess without Ruth Marie and Karen here too, I don't want to be like picking a date. So in addition to reaching out to Deb, then I will try to get organized a date that we can get together sooner rather than later to give you some feedback and figure out what we are thinking for personnel and budget stuff going forward, if that's okay with everybody. So, okay.
when you say personnel lines, are you talking about like more staff or raises or both? Or what do you, I mean, it's very blanket
Yes,
when
it
you
is.
say personnel lines.
I can discuss it more in
Got it.
non-public if you like.
Yes, please.
Okay.
We have a non-public session coming up, as a matter of fact. So, okay. All right. So I will make that my action item list is growing here. So
I know, mine too.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That
Mhm.
was sort of a little sideway. Okay. We have on here grants, which is a new item under new business, just because Jen has been spearheading some conversations with the town and others about grants. So, Jen, if you have some things you'd like to share, that would be great.
Sure. So I think at the last meeting I told you guys about this energy efficiency grant that I had seen online that was part of a bigger federal initiative that was kind of going down through the state. So after talking with Paul about it, and then found that DPW was probably applying for that. So I met with them, Dawn and Leo from DPW on Friday, and they have a list that they're formulating. This grant, Merrimack qualifies for $75,000 and change. So they're looking at what projects they have that they could use it for, and kind of adding in. I was like, we have this whole HVAC system. We did the energy audit. We've got all sorts of stuff that qualify for this. So so they're considering that and putting that on the list. They have a meeting with the New Hampshire Department of Energy this Friday, and we'll get some more information, because one of the questions they had and I had was, can that money be split up among projects? So could they use it for something, and then, whatever's left over, we could use at the library. So, so they'll be getting more information this Friday, and I don't have high hopes that they won't use it all, but if they, if any bit counts, and helps. So I'll keep you guys posted if I hear from them on that. And just keep looking for other grant opportunities, and Yvette, if I can schedule time with you just to kind of go over. I know there's like some grant lists out there and stuff that we could get on, and just kind of uncover what we can.
Yeah, no, it's great. Thank you for doing that.
Yep.
Does anybody have any questions for Jen?
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks. Okay, director's report. Right off the top, I can see there's some gifts.
So we received a donation of cake on, I'm sorry, here. Okay, on October 3rd, we received a donation of a cake from Crosby's Bakery from resident Mary Johnson for the staff. I accepted this on behalf of the board, and the staff enjoyed it immensely. It was a delicious cake.
Well, thank you. Thank you for accepting it on our behalf, and so that it could be enjoyed on the 3rd, and they didn't have to wait till the 17th.
No, it was delicious.
And thank you. That was really a thoughtful thing to
It
do.
was wonderful. Yeah. Mary is a patron who comes in all the time and has brought her granddaughter to so many programs. And it was just a call I got out of the blue, a phone call I got out of the blue. Do you want a cake? Yes.
Great.
So it was very nice. We received a check in the amount of $300 from the Friends of the Library. That's their quarterly donation.
I'll make a motion that we accept the check of $300 from the Friends of the Library for their quarterly donation.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay, 500. Thank you to the Friends.
Okay. Thank you. We received a donation of the game Go from resident Russell Osterland. We'd like to add this to our Library of Things collection.
I make a motion that we accept the game Go from resident Russell Osterland.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? 500. Thank you.
And we received a donation of a Boron Irish hand drum from resident Julianne Cormier. We would like to add this to our Library of Things collection as well.
I'll make a motion that we accept the Irish hand drum from resident Julianne Cormier.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? 500. Thank you. That's really cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
If you don't know what it is, it looks like this.
Very cool.
It's a drum. Okay. There was another donation that came in yesterday. Connor Lipman would like to donate the print version of Economist magazine to the library for our collection.
I'll make a motion that we accept the donation of The Economist.
Second.
Okay.
All those in favor? Great. 500. Thank you to Connor Lipman.
Yeah, the note here says that Connor receives the print and digital copies and would like to donate the print.
Oh, great.
Can
Thank
you
you.
spell the last name? Is it Lipman? or
Lippman.
Thank you.
Those are the donations. I know I highlighted some things. I've had a couple of requests for staff incentives, so I need some guidance on that for amounts.
Is that something you'd prefer to talk about in non-public?
Yeah, we can do that. Okay, good. I told you about the elevator timeline, updated timeline. Carpet I told you about. Yes.
With the elevator refurbishment, in your first post, it doesn't say that the building's going to be closed.
No, that was something we were talking about today.
Oh, okay.
And really looking at the timeline. And that's when it came up from departments. They said, well, we did find things that, and this is a great opportunity to do this. We're ready to do this. We're ready to do this. And I'm like, okay, if you're ready, great, let's go. This is downstairs in children's. They're going to be able to shift and label and then shift if they have to shift the books to the neighborhoods. Kathy's ready to go. Fantastic. Okay, I'm just kind of looking through the things that I had highlighted. The GMILCS board recommends that we move, really that all of the GMILCS libraries move from Comprise to Square. Not all of the libraries are using Comprise. There are 2 or 3 that use either PayPal or Square. So the board discussed it, GMILCS board discussed it and said Square is better, and they had several reasons. So we're looking into that. The GMILCS board is going to discuss it at our December meeting and want to have, Hooksett uses Square, and they want to have Hooksett, do kind of more of a presentation on here's what this is. But that's the recommendation. So they said, tell your boards this is where we're headed. Comprise is not working for anybody in terms of.
Yeah, we were actually losing money.
We're
on
losing
that 'cause
money,
the
yeah.
fees for managing it were so
Right,
much.
and then it seems like there's I looked at the pricing packages for Square, and it's really either no cost or very minimal cost, but it would be set up the funds would be set up to be deposited in one of the trustee accounts. So that's something that really you would work on and figure out how to set up. But it's really looks like a really great solution for everyone.
That's good.
Okay.
Can you just do a quick explanation of what comes in through that? Like what
This
monies?
is when a patron wants to pay with a credit card, and the staff are not touching the credit card. We don't take the card and run it
Yep.
like at another store. That involves a lot of training and bonding for the staff, and the director of the Manchester Library has already researched that and said, no, don't do that. It's not her recommendation, and she's our board treasurer. So with this, we can direct a patron to go to the computer and pay for, replacement books or fees. You can put money in your printing account. There's a couple of things you can do. And then it's a way for the library to get the fees that we're asking for without touching the card. So it's like a third party reputable service. When you use a card, you are charging a convenience fee for that service. So it would be all of those things. It's just enabling someone to use credit card, debit card instead of cash.
Thanks.
Great, thank you. I know this has been something that
Yeah.
Janet had mentioned for a while, so yes.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
I'm very much in favor of this.
Oh, good. I knew you would be. I knew you would be. So that's something. What else have I highlighted? Reggie attended the Merrimack Rotary's breakfast last week and presented on our databases and other electronic services, and answered any questions they had. So he
Great.
had like a 30-minute talk ready, or including answering questions, and they sent me a nice email saying you did a really nice job, and
It's
you know,
great.
yeah, that was really good. We are having our 4th annual Trunk or Treat on Sunday, October 29th from 1 to 3 p.m. Obviously, we've done this for a couple of years in the past since it's our 4th one. This happens in the parking lot. We have police detail at the entrance of the parking lot because anyone who wants to attend parks over in Town Hall and then walks across, so the police manage the traffic. And it's a really nice event. The Friends assist us with this. I'm trying to remember. You're usually there, so you get your own, you contact Kathy if you want to be involved. And we have members of the community who are going to be involved. The Friends, like I said, some of the staff, families are going to be involved. We are going to have the fire department this year.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
With the truck. So that's going to be a neat addition. And we get, several hundred kids come through, and it's really nice for the families. The feedback we've heard is they really like it because the really young children are able to trick or treat in an enclosed space during the day. So it's not at night. So it's really
Fun.
super fun.
Yeah, it's really fun.
It's really
The
fun.
little ones come through. So
Yeah,
cute.
yeah. So that's coming up. Let's see. I highlighted a couple of things under technical services. Jen and I met with someone from the Reed's Ferry Women's Club who expressed some interest in, donating something to the library and working with us on something. They had seen the display that the Friends do, or that the Friends fund outside, and really liked it and wanted to know if they could do something like that. And we proposed, they might want to fund some Library of Things items. And what we showed them were these puzzles that are specific to, they're simple puzzles, and they have the picture. It's like a box. It's very cool. It's a box, and you kind of open it up, and the picture is there, and you can assemble the puzzle inside the box. And it's really helpful for people who have dementia or people who have Alzheimer's. And it's something that there's prompting, there's questions included in this that can be prompted to have a conversation with the person who's doing the puzzle, and maybe an aide or a family member is helping. So Jen had reached out to the Alzheimer's Association of New Hampshire that we've been working with also, and they're doing some talks at the library, and what other items that are, useful that would be something we could include in our Library of Things. And the Reed's Ferry Women's Club really liked all these ideas, so they brought the ideas back to their board, and they're gonna discuss and see what they want to fund. But it was really a really nice connection to make.
What is a busy apron?
Oh, I didn't bring a picture. It's an apron. It's got things on it.
Oh, okay.
Like, kind of like when you have toddler
Yeah.
toys, it's the same idea of
Oh.
putting something in and taking something out, and a lot of tactile activity.
Mhm.
It just looks really fun. It looks really neat.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, lots of shapes and lots of tactile things, noises, really nice. It's very engaging.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So they're gonna discuss those things. Let's see. We're still moving along with Aspen, and that's what this means about the collections. We had to have all of the libraries limit their collections to 30. So that just means the headings on a collection. So instead of, in children's collections, you might have, fiction, easy reader, da da da, and leveled readers, and something that gets very, you could have 100, and they had several hundred, and it was like you have to have 30. So it's fiction, and then you can have subcategories, but they're called something else. They're not called collections. They're just, it's a different stat code. This is very back end stuff, but it's been a lot of work. Jen and Stephanie have been the ones working with Aspen through, Stephanie's on the UXG, the user experience group in Gmelx, and Jen is in MIG, which is the metadata group. So I know they've been working hard because I'm the board president and I've been the one saying, here's your deadline.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it looks great. Jen has been accepted into the Primex Supervisors Academy for November, which is really, really fantastic. It's competitive, and she's going to learn a lot
nice.
about being a manager. And there's 3 days worth of learning happening, and that's going to be in November. I had sent you as an attachment the GMILX board responsibilities document. And that's something the board, the GMILX board, we're looking at the directors, library directors, who are their library representatives to the board automatically, when they're hired at a GMILX library. And that's something that, it would be helpful on the board level if people knew what they were getting into and the expectations of the board and of board involvement. And we're talking a lot about succession planning and making sure, everyone has a turn as an officer, and you have to be prepared for a meeting. I mean, the responsibilities are listed, and just to let people know. And for us, I know I've talked so much about GMILX and how vital it is for our operations, and this is a piece of it. So, I probably don't even know if it's in my job description, but of course I go to the meetings and I'm prepared and all these things, and I know what the expectations are for me, and I think that's something that we just, as a board, we would like, all of the librarians to go to their trustees and make sure that they also are aware that this is an expectation that we should have. So just to let you know, I mean, I can go back to my job description and make sure it's in there, but we wanted to make sure you guys knew. I put a list of the legislation that the state library is watching, the NHLA is watching. We have a I can't think of what the term is right now. We have someone that the NHLA board hires to follow legislation, and these are the list of things that they've identified are possibly pertinent to municipal government, libraries, school libraries, trustee boards, other advisory boards, that kind of thing.
Can you tell me? I tried to get to the text of some of these, and I was having a hard time
There is
finding.
no text yet.
Okay. Because I was looking up by the House bill numbers, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, it's
They're
a
just
different
their
thing. Okay.
proposal state.
Okay. So
There's
there's no
yeah.
text describing
No.
anything about it or
Nope.
who sponsored it or anything.
No.
Okay.
No, not yet.
Okay.
So you know, I was given this list, told, share it with your trustees in every single meeting that I'm in with directors or with the state librarian, just saying, make your board aware of
Yeah,
this.
I just
So,
wanted to
yeah.
read up on some of them and see, well,
Yeah.
what is
Yeah.
exactly does that mean? What are they thinking?
Yeah.
And without being able to see it, it's hard to.
Yeah, there's the people who are on the NHLA legislative and advocacy committee, you know, are talking. You know, they kind of know who's sponsoring this
Yeah,
one, and
right.
so they're reaching out to that person. So they have a little bit more of inside information on it, but it's not. It's the session hadn't started yet. So
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
just.
So they started, I was LSR's legislative service request, I think, and then so they basically just give it a headline of it, and then they'll go and they'll work with staffers in Concord to write the actual bill, and then that's what gets started in January, so.
Thank you. I just wanted to sort of do a little background and get some
Yeah,
information on
yeah.
it. And so I will just keep looking, seeing what I can find.
Yeah, and any information that I get, I will just forward to the board.
Thank you.
You know, so. I don't have anything else highlighted. If you have any questions, let me know.
Great. Great. Any questions for Yvette?
No, I just want to say great responsiveness to community requests with, the thing that Jen was handling there with the puzzles, and last time we talked about the, getting some materials in Spanish when somebody requested, so that's
Yeah.
just great.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
Are you still taking feedback for Aspen?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be an ongoing
Okay.
thing until, I mean, the old catalog is sunsetting on the 21st. You know, we have a link to the old catalog, but it's not being updated, and that's going to sunset on the 21st for everyone. But yeah, any feedback. They are still working out kinks. One of the things Jen had a report from MIG is that if you're if you're looking at the public facing side and the staff facing side for Polaris, certain collections don't match. And she said, we're aware of it, but it's not something that you would see. It was just something, so they are continuing to work on it and work with the vendor. If we have an issue, then it's, okay, we tell the vendor, we need you to work on this development, make it so.
Mhm.
Okay.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, treasurer's report, Janet.
Well, I apologize for not sending it out. I did do it. So fines, I'm looking at the balance sheet. It's for the end of September 30th. And our fines starting balance was $6,192.56. And we concluded the month with $7,548.63. And then special started with $49,677.55. And we concluded the month with $57,253.06. I will send these out just for completeness.
Okay, any questions for Janet? Okay, great, thanks, Janet. Let's see, we have meetings from September 19th. So I was not present. Robbie, you were not here either, I think. So I will leave the making of motions and whatnot up to people who were here to participate. So let's do the public meeting minutes first of all.
I didn't have any issues.
I didn't either.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes for September 9th, the public minutes for September 19th, as is.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? 3, opposed, 0, abstaining, 2. Okay, thank you. And then there's the non-public meeting minutes.
I also didn't have any issues with this. Okay. So I'll make a motion to accept the non-public minutes for September 19th.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed and abstaining. Great, 302. Thank you. Okay, then the Building Exploratory Committee, nothing to report. Friends of the Library, Jen.
Okay, so this week is National Friends of Libraries Week. So a shout out to our Friends of the Library group and thanks to the board for all they do. They currently have a raffle basket at the library, correct? For the week, and patrons may enter a raffle ticket for free to celebrate the week. Can we send a thank you to, like, maybe an email to the board of the Friends, just to thank them for their service to the library? They hosted a table at the volunteer fair that was hosted by the Laverne Foundation at the community cookout. I don't have a report on that, but I know they were doing that last weekend. They will be co-sponsoring the Trunk or Treat event on the 29th and funding, they set aside funding for candy. And they discussed the wreath sale and working around the elevator project this year. And I think they maybe settled on that it would be a virtual.
Yes, all of the wreaths are going to hang in the lower level because that's where we can hang them. And then I will take pictures of them, post them on Facebook, and then the bidding can only happen on Facebook.
And their next meeting is Monday, October 30th.
Great, thank you. And thank you to the Friends. We will send a thank you, but we really do appreciate all that they do for the library. Development Fund has not met, scheduled to meet on the 13th. Town Center Committee, our representative is not here, so we don't have a report from that. Jen, you didn't go to the Town Center Committee,
I
right?
did
So, okay. Committee updates, nothing from personnel. Finance, we don't have anything to discuss. Excuse me. Sneeze coming. Excuse me.
That's
Thank you. Jen had mentioned the possibility of reinstating the building committee. We used to have a building committee of 2 who were sort of point people for Yvette when projects were going on. Jen, is there anything you'd like to say about that?
I just didn't know if that's helpful to you to have, you know, I think, were you on that, Janet? There were a couple of people on that from the trustees. I wasn't on that one, so I don't know exactly how it functioned, but I remember, you know, just with bigger projects, to have another set of eyes and ears and people who can
If you
jump in
want
and
to,
help you
sure.
out.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. Fine with me.
Janet, do you have a thought on that? Since you have served on the committee and since,
What was it like back in the day?
in the day. It was kind of hit or miss because there were times that it was, if you had a meeting, the meetings were during the day and we were invited, but I think like I was the only one who could go if I could make it. But then if there was something major, you told the board anyway. So it was, like I said, it was just hit or miss. At the time, it was because we were doing the roof.
Yeah.
And there was just so many things going on with the roof. It was like, okay, we need somebody to just be another set of eyes and ears,
Right.
and be there to represent the board. But then after the roof, there weren't really any major projects like that.
That's what I was
so-
just thinking with the slate roof, with the
Yeah.
HVAC.
Actually, I was thinking the
stuff
same
like
thing.
that, so,
A couple weeks ago, I thought the same thing. I was like, you know, maybe given what's been going on.
yeah. I mean, I'd be willing to serve on that because I have a little bit of flexibility in my schedule and could come in daytime if needed.
I can too. So
well, would you like to establish sort of we'll give it a try and see, and then at least that way if Yvette needs support during the day or come to a meeting or like there's just other point people on, I mean, I'm fine with reinstating it and it's active when it needs to be and not when it doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion that we reinstate building committee to support Yvette during these ongoing projects.
Second.
Thanks. Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? 500. Okay, great. Since you were both thinking about it and you're both willing to serve, by all means, please do. Like, I'm not going to discourage you from doing that. So, okay. Is there anything else to come before the board before we go through our action items? Okay, October action items. Here's what I have. I'm going to reach out to Deb Hoadley to see what dates she's available for the possible meeting with the trustees for the strategic plan. Yvette is going to reach out to finance and or the roof person and see what our next steps are for creating an RFP to get this project moving one way or the other. Janet and Deb, we are going to work on the general ledger concerns to send to Adam regarding the budget encumbrances, because that does not look
Yeah,
as we would expect it to.
We need to keep Joanne in the loop too.
Yep, and Joanne. Yeah, I can let Joanne know. I can just send her an email tomorrow. Or Yvette, if you see her and let her know that we're going to be working on
no,
something just to document.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
thank
made a
you.
note.
We need to come up with some information on the personnel lines sooner rather than later, so in November. So I will work on scheduling dates where we can have our first meeting for the budget, hopefully on the early side. On November 16th, Yvette and I will be attending we're going to ask if we can have an appointment with the town council on that day. Janet is going to send the treasurer's report, and I will send thank yous to the Friends of the Public Library. Is there anything else? Okay.
Oh, we need to do a Quimby.
Oh, the Quimby, yes, the Quimby recognition. Eva, do you have something already written or drafted about his life that we can work from?
I can.
Okay. Could you do that?
We
So I
might
think
have-
you have more information about Barry himself. So if you
Yeah,
had some information
yeah.
about his life that we could work off of to write our acknowledgement of, that would be great.
Want me
I
to
mean,
send it to?
Yeah. Send it to, well, since we're the finance committee and we're the ones that worked on the
Sure.
Quimby thing, it seems like that would make sense. Okay. Yeah. So as part of our donation from from Dr. Quimby, we acknowledge his son every couple of years, 3 years,
it's like every
every 3
3
years. So it's time for us to make an acknowledgement in the library newsletter.
Yep.
Yes. So. Okay, great. Okay, then I am going to say the Friends of the Library will be meeting on October 30th at 7 p.m. The Development Fund will be meeting on November 13th at 5 p.m. And the Merrimack Public Library Board of Trustees will have our next monthly meeting on November 21st. Now I'm going to make a motion that we go into non-public session per New Hampshire RSA 91A3 2C.
Second,
Thank you. We need to do a roll call vote to go into that. So Janet,
yes.
I say yes. Jen, Molly,
Yes.
and Robbie. Okay, thank you.